Topic 2 for today is all about graphing lines. Graphing lines. If you don't have graph paper at home, if you do have a printer, quick Google search of graph paper, and then you can print some out. Your graphs will look way, way better in your notes if you do them on graph paper. But if you don't have access to a printer and don't have graph paper at home, no worries. You can just sketch your graph in your notebook there. So slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. It's an important one. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept form, where m is the slope of the line and b is the y-intercept of the line. So y equals mx plus b. M is slope. We defined that in the first video today, the first topic. B is the y-intercept. Remember, our x-axis is the one that goes from side to side. Our y-axis is the one that goes up and down. The y-intercept is where this line is going to cross our y-axis. So example, it says 6. That's a continuation from the previous set. Call it example 1. Asks us to graph the line y equals 2/3 x plus 3. Y equals 2/3 x plus 3. We're always going to graph the y-intercept first. So when we're asked to graph here, I would write down what our slope is. So the slope is m. M is, in this case, 2/3. And our y-intercept is b, which in this case is 3. And we are always going to graph the y-intercept first. So my y-intercept is 3, so this needs to cross the y-axis at 3. 1, 2, 3. It crosses the y-axis 3 units from the origin. And then my slope is 2/3. And remember, this is rise over run. So my rise is 2, positive 2. So I go up 2, and my run is positive 3. So I go to the right 3. And then I do it again. Up 2/3. Up 2/3. And we could draw our line in here. If we need more points on this side, notice this line's going to keep going this way. I could also go down to left 3. That also has a slope of positive 2/3. Down to left 3. And we can draw our line in there. Missed that point, but you get it. Let's graph each of the following lines. Y equals negative 2x minus 1. Y equals negative 2x minus 1. So the slope, that's what's next to the x, is negative 2. And the y-intercept is what's added or subtracted at the end. In this case, my y-intercept is negative 1. We always graph the y-intercept first. So I'm going to graph my y-intercept at negative 1. Negative 1 would be right here on the y-axis. And then my slope is negative 2. Notice it's not in rise over run form right now because there's nothing on the bottom. So negative 2, we can write that as negative 2/1. Negative 2 divided by 1 is negative 2. So my rise is negative 2. Because it's negative, I'm going down 2, and my run is 1. Down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1. And then I can put some more points in on this side, and we can draw our line in. It's not a very straight line. It's kind of hard to draw like this. There's that first line. Second line asks us to graph y equals x minus 5. Y equals x minus 5. So I think pretty clearly our y-intercept is negative 5. Problem is the slope kind of almost looks like there is no slope. That's not true. Remember x, that's the same thing as 1 times x. I have 1x there. The coefficient is understood to be a 1 if it's not there. So in this case, our slope is positive 1. When I'm thinking about rise over run for my slope, that's going to be a 1 over 1. I graph my y-intercept first, -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my y-intercept. My slope is 1. 1 over 1, so up 1 for my rise, right 1 for my run. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Y equals -1/2 x plus 4. -1/2 x plus 4. So the slope is -1/2. And my y-intercept is 4. This negative sign right here, you can either make the top negative or the bottom negative, but you don't want to make both of them negative. If I made them both negative, rewrite that. If I made them both negative, it'd be -1 divided by -2, and negative divided by negative is positive 1/2. I want it to be -1/2. So you can make the top or the bottom negative. I would always be in the habit of just making the top negative. That's going to turn out a little easier. So my y-intercept is 4. I need to cross the y-axis at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And my slope is -1/2. Rise over run. My rise is -1. My run is 2. Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. And there's our line. The last problem here is a little bit different. Instead of them giving us the equation and asking for the graph, this time they gave us the graph and it wants an equation for that line. So we want to be thinking about slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, again, y equals mx plus b. And the slope, we learned how to find slope earlier today. I'm going to start with the leftmost point, which is this one. And I want to count rise over run to see how I get to this point. So my rise is down 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 4. And my run is to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope is -4 over 5. Don't forget your x, that's a variable. Plus b. B is my y-intercept. The y-intercept, starting at 0, 0, we count up 1, 2, 3. It crosses the y-axis at +3. Y equals -4/5 x plus 3 is correct. And that's it for notes today. You can go ahead and move on to the next task.